In late September of 2022, American nu metal band Disturbed announced their 8th studio album, Divisive, breaking the absence of new material since 2018's Evolution, which disappointed a majority of the band's fanbase due to its greater proportion of acoustic and lighter rock tracks, as opposed to the heaviness that resuscitated Disturbed in 2015's Immortalized. Divisive's first single, Hey You, released on the 14th of July, sees a return to the band's hard rock-driven roots, while also retaining the more modern, fresh production prevalent in Evolution's heavier tracks. Along with this revitalization in sound, the album cover, when revealed, saw the tradition of the mascot the Guy return. The cover, as always, is incredibly produced and high quality, and seeing the iconic face of the Guy again personally foreshadowed the band getting back on their feet. However, the hope for vigorous material is arguably minimized to some extent, as pointed out by YouTube music critic Anthony Fantano. The first single did not see David Draymond expand his horizons, instead as always retaining the same vocal delivery as always and not sliding an inch out of his usual range. Which isn't necessarily a problem, but it's still notable. The album is only 37 minutes and 55 seconds long, and after a full listen through of the project, that is justifiable. Most of the tracks at first glance deliver the same style of message, and the instrumental progressions do not vary too much, especially in the first half. Of course, the album showcases the well-kept talents of all 4 members after over 2 decades, with some hard-hitting drum fills by Mike Wengren, and consistent performances by guitarist Dan Donegan and bassist John Moyer. However, it is questionable whether anything new is brought to the metal scene or not. Divisive subjectively does not feel like its own album, but rather a continuation of Immortalized and Evolution. As mentioned before, Hey You sparks an explosive start to the album. At first, the powerful main riff is accompanied by some clean trap beats, already foreboding a satisfying breath of fresh air, before cogently transitioning into a tough sequence driven by Mike Wengren's superb drumming. On top of this volcanic opening, David Draymond as always delivers his vocals with relentless passion, clearly invested in his simple message against what he describes as outrage addiction, which seems to remain the overall message of the following tracks as well. However, while the track is undeniably vehement all throughout, the chorus is personally an interloper within the song. It sees a quick switch into a brighter key, likely on purpose in order to convey a sense of hope, urging common people to wake up. However, it arguably does not fit in comparison with the vigorous tone of the verses. On top of this, the lyrics convey the classic themes of Draymond's ideologies. However, they aren't really all influential. Some decent lines are present within the track, but it seems that the band really wanted to retain simplicity while fighting for social change. The line, "Hey you, walking away," got the wrong kind of mindset, enforces this unambiguity. Track 2, Bad Man, once again provides the listener with the classic ferocity of the band. However, also like its predecessing track, does not bother making the lyrics as interesting as they could have been. Bad man, such as sad man, is personally a line that hints at Disturbed struggling to find new ideas. On a more optimistic note though, the chorus is incredibly catchy, and becomes a memorable staple within Disturbed's discography after a few listens. There is a sense of rejuvenation for the band looking forward. The title track once more offers a lack of lyrical ambition. The line, "You've become another monster living in your own reality," echoes the same message of social conflict as the 2 other previous songs, and while delivered with exuberant devotion, offers nothing new. Dan Donegan does bless the song with more heavy, gritty riffs, while keeping a similar pace to the 2 other songs. It's still euphoric to listen to, and its guitar solo towards the conclusion of the track gives listeners a reason to continue listening. The album's second single, Unstoppable, is a pleasant amendment of pace. It is somehow elevated in intensity, and it's notable for its much faster progression. While again, the theme of the track remains similar, some great lines are delivered. For example, "There can be no penance for the parasite that you've become." Lucid in its message, yet chilling to listen to, personally serving as a callback to Immortalized. The post-chorus also intensifies the song's energy, with the addition of Donegan's amazing palm muting, acting as a reminder to the band's earlier days. Track 5, Love to Hate, calls back to the album opener in terms of its lyrical themes, and subjectively the riff sounds similar to what's already been heard in the album. Lines such as, "I see the junkies fiending for their old addiction," reinforces this concept of social outrage. Acting as the closer for the first side of the album, it essentially summarizes the main principles of the first 4 songs. But from here, the album truly does take a turn for the better. Track 6, Feeding the Fire, changes the pace slightly, slowing down to a degree and also offering a different toned riff. Moreover, David Draymond adjusts his vocal approach, suppressing his projection and screams on the verses, and instead revealing his more melodic voice. This track personally is one of the more interesting songs on the album. It's made memorable for the alternate pace, and a more repressed chorus. The lyrics are also interesting. David Draymond delivers some really engaging and creative lines such as, "Holding out for an antidote to free me from this pantomime." This entire track is a personal reminder of the 2008 album, Indestructible. It's a really nice alteration from their more modern style of material. It's a promising start to the second side of the project. Track 7, Don't Tell Me, is a complete outlier within Divisive. It's the only song close to a ballad, and the melancholy acoustic progression is a great callback to the closing track of 2002's Believe, Darkness. David Draymond presents his technical repertoire, verifying his ability to blend both melodic singing and raspy projection into his music. And on top of this, the track features Ann Wilson of legendary Seattle band Heart, who delivers a powerful performance to bring life to the song. However, one thing that prevents this song from flourishing is its entirely uninteresting lyrics. The lyrics are cliché, even for modern Disturbed standards, focusing on the theme of relationships but failing to hit the nail on the head. On a more positive note though, Dan Donegan once again saves the album, shredding an awe-inspiring guitar solo towards the end. His technical ability remains evident throughout Divisive, and it's definitely a reason to re-listen to and appreciate the album. Take Back Your Life returns to the album's soul heaviness. However, this time, the main riff mirrors the sound of early 2000s Disturbed. Although once again, its lyrics do not bring about any influence, and essentially reflect on what Hey You had to say. This is seen in lines like, "You gotta make that change now," and especially, "You need to break out from behind the lie." Track 9, Part of Me, is initially at the same level of energy as most other tracks on the record, not really standing out among the mix of similar riffs and lyrics. However, near the end, it does offer an amazing gift to Disturbed fans. Wah-ah-ah-ah-ow. The bridge is elevated to ferocity with a classic assortment of wahs and ahs and ows, courtesy of David Draymond. This trend has been seen in hit songs like Down with the Sickness and Stricken, and personally, this bridge section saved the songs from being what the old folks would call a snooze fest. And finally, to close the album, the short and snappy Won't Back Down. Not to be confused with the Tom Petty song, I Won't Back Down.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the...
As with most songs on the album, the message is kept simple and sweet. It's apparent that this song was meant to close the album on a note of inspiration and determination. However, this fails to execute due to the repetitive and uninteresting lyrics. The bridge simply repeats, "Hey, hey, get up, as if that hasn't already been said in the history of music. Overall, while the album offers some great and memorable moments, mixing its more modern style of writing with some homages to the past, the tracks collectively barely offer any range. Luckily, the short time of the album prevents recurring themes from becoming even more uninteresting. Tracks like Feeding the Fire hint that Disturbed are still strong, however the majority of the tracks hint otherwise. As always, all 4 band members put in their hearts and souls performance-wise. But in terms of writing, it seems Disturbed's prime period of material is far behind. David Draymond even announced shortly after the album's release that new material would become more uncommon in the future. Which, while disheartening, it's also arguably for the best. Thanks for watching.